Hello everyone and welcome to this tutorial. My name is Daniel and this is part of a series where you can learn how to use CSS selectors. Now, if you are following this series, you will notice that I have some things that stayed with me throughout the tutorials. Now, for this document, in this particular tutorial, we'll discuss attribute selectors. So this is why I have 5 divs set up with these special attributes that don't exist in regular HTML. I just made them up, but luckily, HTML5 allows you to have special attributes created by yourself. So in this example, I used my attribute, but this could be anything really. There's a convention kind of thing that these have to be separated with a dash in between them in case they are not regular selectors such as or regular attributes such as class or style, for example. All right, so let's check out how we can target each of these using special attribute selectors. The first attribute selector that we'll look at is going to be an exact value attribute. So to declare an attribute selector, we have to use the square brackets and then inside type my attribute, which could be anything you want. It could be class, for example. So like this could be class if you have a class attribute for that thing. But for this case, I'm going to type in my attribute and then equals, and then in this case, you're not going to need the quotation marks. So all you have to do is type in foo bar baz in my case, because I'm going to target this one, and then I'm going to say this one should have maybe a background of tomato. Okay, so if you check out the screen, you can see that this div is now being targeted by the selector and the background has changed into tomato. Now, there are two more divs in this document that have foobar baz values, but if you notice, this one has white spaces, which means they are separate values. This one has, again, separators, which mean that they are not getting that value, which is cool. Okay, but let's see, what if we want to select this one? What happens if I type in foo? Notice that none of these gets the tomato color. Now, the reason for that is because foo, so in case of normal selectors, if you were to type in a class of foo, we would, of course, naturally target this guy because it has the foo attribute. But because this is an exact attribute selector, it will only target it if the exact value is present and nothing else. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to look at is my attribute, and the next selector is going to use this wavy thing that I don't know the name of, and this will do what we try to do here, and in case of white space separated items, it will go ahead and try to select one of these values, and if one of them is present, this one will target it. So let's type in bar and make the background teal. And I think my attribute. And of course, I misspelled this as always. So once you have the correct spelling, you'll notice that our second div here has one of the attributes is bar. So this one gets targeted by this selector. Isn't that neat? What happens if we change this to foo? Of course, this will still keep being selected. Now, let's say this one has bar bars. Okay. And we are going to change this one to bar bars as well. Now you'll see that because this one has bar bars and this one has bar bars, they will both get that teal selection. So this one is most familiar to the regular CSS class or ID selection. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at, I'm going to cheat and copy this over because I don't really want to type in again. So the next cycle we're going to look at is using the pipe and then an equal sign. And then this one, what this one will do is it will require the value to start. And I'm going to see what color I should give this one, so you see what I'm talking about. Let's give it a color of chocolate. And so what you see happening here is that this selector, and sorry, I'm just going back and changing this to bass so it doesn't select anything. Oops, or a bar. So you can see that this selector now targets anything that starts with bar bars. Okay, now this being the only one that starts with bar bars, of course, this is the only thing that gets selected. Let's see what happens if we type in foo. Now, only this one will get selected. Now, it's either the exact value in this case, or it is separated by a dash, like so. So in this case, this guy gets selected because it is separated by a dash. This one doesn't get selected because it's not separated by a dash. This one doesn't get separated because it's not an exact value. Okay, so let's take a look at our next one, which will be, oops, remove that. And our next one will be using this, I don't know what they call it, an arrow or whatever. So what this one will do is it will select everything that starts with an exact value. Let's see. So change that to orchid. And you'll notice that this guy right here will change to the background color of orchid. The reason why that's happening is because this one starts with this value. Now let's see what happens if we change this to foo. Of course, everything that starts with foo will now be selected by this selector. See? So that's really cool. And this one's actually the one that you'll probably use the most in terms of CSS and class selection. If you want to target divs, for example, that all have sol class, sol something, sol 1, sol 2, sol 3, such as Bootstrap's awesome grid system. Okay, so once that's done, let's see another selector. This one will use a $sign, and you're not seeing what it's doing yet. So this one's using a $sign, and the attribute's value ends with this thing that you type in. Okay. So because it ends with the specified value, you'll see that once we'll keep targeting bar bars, and you'll see that this one ends with bar bars, and it doesn't have to be the same word in this case. So it could be a long word that just ends with bar bars, and then it will get targeted by this selector. Now we only have a couple of seconds left from this video, so I'm quickly going to show you the last selector that we use, and that's going to be using a star, and this one will be selecting everything that contains the specified value. Thank you for watching this, and see you in the next one.